What is up, my fellow Chibits? Hopefully all of you are having a very, very good day today, and hopefully all of you are staying warm, staying safe, you're happy right now, and I do hope all of you continue to have many great days ahead. And so anyways, with that being said, Violet Evergarden Episode 2 is here, and once again, I quickly want to state, I'm really kind of upset on the fact that Netflix chose not to simulcast this series on their platform for the United States. It kind of upsets me a little bit because I own Netflix, I own Amazon Prime, Crunchyroll, Funimation, and it just really bugs me that I can't support this series in a way I want to because of how Netflix chooses. Every other country, Canada, England, UK, I think Germany has it, just a bunch of different countries overall, they have this series coming out every single week. But for some reason, Netflix decided not to have the series coming out every week for United States. It boggles my mind. But anyways, shout out to the translators that have been translating this series and allowing us to watch it, United States watchers to watch it. I do truly appreciate it, and so just shout out to them. But anyways, Episode 2 of Violet Evergarden. This series is probably my favorite. I'm going to say right now, this is probably my favorite of Winter of Anime 2018. It's definitely up there with Kokoku. I really like Kokoku, but that series probably does not even hold a candle to how good this anime really is. Now, just to quickly do an FYI, I'm not comparing Season 2s to anything from the season. For instance, like Overlord or whatever, anything that's like Season 2 or whatever that I knew was going to be good, I'm not going to be comparing it to new series. Just making sure I get that info out there. But anyways, this is probably one of the best of this season, at least to me, because it's not just the fact that it looks beautiful, and the voice acting is amazing, the art is great, animation's great, it's not just that. It's the fact that there's a lot of little elements throughout the episode that really just makes me want to know more, makes me want to continue watching, and I don't think it really would have been as good of a series if it wasn't for KyoAni probably picking it up. Now, before I actually talk about everything in this episode, I want to do a brief FYIs if you are unaware. Apparently, thanks to the original source readers, much of this episode was our anime original. For instance, it did not follow the original source. Now, I know many automatically are going to say, whoa, does that mean that this is bad? Should we be worried? In fact, no. It seems like KyoAni is going out of their way to expand upon the universe of Violet Evergarden, which is something I truly admire. There's not a lot of anime studios that tend to do this. There's only a few noteworthy studios I've seen actually do this in recent times. For instance, Studio Madhouse, to Studio Bones, Ufotable, they do their own thing as well. There's a couple of studios here and there that do stuff like that, and I do truly appreciate it, and it most likely is what we're getting with this series as well. Violet Evergarden, even though it's going to probably have a lot of anime original moments, it's expanding upon the original source and making it a lot better. And also to explain and elaborate on this element of what I'm talking about, apparently Iris and Erika's character, the two characters that were introduced in this episode, well, apparently those two characters are anime original. That's what I've been told. Now, if I am wrong there, correct me, but apparently all the screen time and everything they got in this episode was anime original. They're not even in the original source, so that means that these characters, they're completely new. Nobody really knows what to expect, which I actually am very surprised, because the inclusion of Eris and Erika's character were very important in my personal opinion after looking at this episode. Like, they just make Violet's character just stick out so much more. It makes me really want to know what really happened, or what led her to that point in life where she joined the military. Why did she, want to be a person part of the military and be treated like a doll, like a machine, like a weapon? Why? And so there's just so many questions. If it wasn't for those two characters that were introduced in this episode, I don't think the series would be as good as it is right now. I want to be honest. What really made this episode for me was the reaction from a bunch of the characters throughout this episode. A lot of the scenes, not just Erika and Eris, being added into this episode. There was a lot of scenes apparently that were anime original, which I tip my hat. If I was wearing my beanie right now, I would tip it just for, KyoAni and what they're doing for this series. They're doing a fantastic job. So let's get into the main important stuff, okay? This episode really goes far to showcase how broken Violet is. We already kind of had a brief understanding of that thanks to the first episode. I talked about that in length. I said it was very obvious that this series is trying to kind of tackle PTSD, people that, have to figure out when they need to come home. You know, is it time to come home? Is home really home to them, or is the battlefield home? It's a very similar topic if you've ever watched the Punisher series on Netflix. You know, it's a very kind of similar topic there, and that's kind of what I'm getting from this. It's like characters, after being in a war for so long, they need to figure out how they can readjust to normal society. And Violet, though, even though many might struggle, Violet's very different from the others, because even though people would have to take time to readjust to modern society or how society is from the lifestyle of the battlefield, Violet's never had that. From what we can understand, Violet's never had a place of peace, calm, or a place that wasn't on the battlefield. Her entire life seems to have been a struggle and a battlefield, and so she never got to have the chance to be able to know the difference. She doesn't know the difference between, you know, a regular life and then the battlefield. And so that's what makes her just so different and stand out. Even characters that, you know, we know for a fact were in the military and are trying to readjust, it's nothing compared to what Violet is going through, because she doesn't even know. She doesn't even know what is really going on, or how weird she really is in this society. You can kind of see glimpses that she's starting to realize somewhat, but overall she doesn't have a true grasp on what makes her just stand out, and why many are really angry or upset or don't understand why she acts like she does. For instance, in this episode, there's many cases to where it shows she's socially awkward. She doesn't know how to properly communicate with others. She doesn't know how to properly explain how she feels, which that makes a lot of sense, because she's always done something for someone else, and she's never had to do anything for herself. For instance, big examples from the first episode is when someone had to straight up tell her, you can eat now, you can eat, you can grab some food, you can eat. And that was just really shocking, because when you think about how we are as people, when you're hungry, you go and get food. I mean, let's say you're hungry right now, you're probably going to pause this video, and you're going to go get yourself some food. That's just how we are. If we're hungry, we're hungry. If we need to go use the bathroom, we're going to go use the bathroom. If we want to go read a book, we're going to go read a book. We do what we want. We don't usually need people to tell us what to do. However, Violet, she is a character that, or a person, correction, she is a person that doesn't take action. For instance, she is someone that will only do as she is ordered to do. And so she's not told to do something, she won't do it. Now, there is obviously something that she does take and wants to do. She usually associates with a lot of things she wants to train and get better, and that's the only thing she takes the initiative for. When it comes to things that she kind of is bad at, she wants to train. She wants to get better, which explains with the typewriter segment of this episode, when she wants to take it home and learn how to type better. She's getting really good at it. We've already seen that she's really good when she puts her mind to something. She can, you know, do incredible things. However, once again, we go back to the main subject, which is her being very socially awkward. And that's exactly what she is. She is very socially awkward. She doesn't know how to properly read the atmosphere and understand when it is the time to say something and when it's not the time to say something. And there was many moments, segments of this episode that showed that. For instance, when she was sitting there watching the other dolls doing their work, you know, trying to ghostwrite and all that, she constantly pitched in and said a little thing that just was very off, and many of us that were watching like, that's really rude. I mean, me as a person, I'm like, okay, I know I'm not the nicest person, probably not the person that would show the most courtesy to others, especially in something like that, but at the same time, though, the way she was often saying, like, you know, oh, you know, you're the one that paid for this and all that, you have no right to complain, and just like, whoa, the way she just went about the entire situation, it was just very weird and rude from her perspective of being, you know, a part of a business. And then also how she, you know, straight up was very blunt in the letter and all that, wrote the letter down, and was just, you know, basically making the woman look very awful when she wanted to write to someone that she actually loved, but she didn't want to be like someone that was easy to get with. So there were so many elements that I was just like, man, like, Violet needs some serious work. Like, she does not know, like, how rude she is really being. And she doesn't mean it. It's very obvious that Violet doesn't mean to be rude. It's not that she's a rude person. She just doesn't comprehend it. She doesn't know how awful she's being in some ways, or just how naive she is. And I find that really cool. It makes her to be a very fascinating character, and many might want to call her bland, or many might want to say, she's not interesting, but in fact, that does make her very interesting, especially when she showcases her hands and her arms. That's what really just showcases who she is. And let's dive into that part. At the beginning of the episode, when she's starting to learn how to typewrite and all that, you know, Kat, she basically says, is it hard to write with, you know, do typewriting with gloves? You know, take your gloves off. And so you have it to where Violet, she takes off her gloves, and when you see the gloves off, you see her, you know, metal hands, her automail basically from Full Metal Alchemist. And you see these hands, and we knew what she had. However, this was their first time seeing it, and their reactions overall, it was just a look of shock. They're like, whoa, she doesn't have hands, which many would automatically say, is it going to be okay for her to be a typewriter? But then also questions will pop up in their head like, what happened for her to be like that? You know, those type of questions would pop up in your head, and you could see many of them were thinking that while they looked at her hands. Then when she rolled up her sleeves and you saw the entirety of her arm, then you saw their look of shock even more on their face. They're like, it's not just her hands, but she's lost her arms. And that just is even crazier. It's not the fact that maybe her hands were cut off, but her arms as well. And they automatically knew something really bad had to have happened to her. And the way she just casually lifts up her, her sleeve and just tightens knobs and stuff to make it look, better, move her fingers better. And she doesn't really care or consider anything about that. It shows how she can't read the atmosphere, how socially awkward she is. For people to see something like that, that's a very shocking moment. And most people, if they had something like that with their body, they most likely would react very differently. They would be a little bit more reserved. They wouldn't want to show people that side of them. That's just how people are. And for her to go out of her way to just reveal something like that, not really trying to hide it, she didn't even show emotion. She didn't even say, I know it looks weird. She didn't even say that. She didn't even say, I know it looks weird. I know I lost my arm. She acted like it was normal. She acted like everything was fine. Nothing was off about the scene. And that's what really was the jarring moment about that, because she didn't think it was unordinary at all. She felt like that was just an average thing to do, and everybody was shocked about it. So, yeah, it makes Violet's character just really cool, but at the same time, she's more like a machine. When you hear her typing on the typewriter and all that very loudly, it emphasizes that she is like a machine. She is not a human in this moment. She lacks emotion. She lacks the ability to comprehend things, and like I said, that makes her for a very cool and fascinating character. So, besides that, let's talk about what the main Mel character, Hoggins, hopefully I'm saying his name right. Hoggins, he apparently sacrificed all of his income for the month to be able to find Violet's brooch and all that. Hopefully I'm saying that right as well. But he sacrificed all of his money basically to get back, the last memento of, Gilbert for her. And there's a lot of things being implied with this episode that Gilbert is gone. And whatever happened to Gilbert and all of that was extremely sad. Very sad. And you could kind of already get this from the first episode, but at the end when you see Hoggins, his lips quivering and all that. Love that animation effect, by the way. Good stuff, KyoAni. When you see his lip quivering and you could see this depression in him, you could see that he lost someone very close, a good friend. And it definitely elaborates on the fact that maybe Hoggins feels very responsible for Violet and why he goes so far for her. I mean, it's not an everyday thing where you see a man sacrifice his own income for someone else, like his entire month's income. You just don't see that every day. And from what we know is they're not blood related, so it's not like he's doing it for a family member. And from what we know, it's not like Violet and Hoggins are like best friends either. It doesn't look like that. So for him to go that far, it most likely is what I said in the first episode, one of my first impressions. It most likely is him doing self-redemption. He's trying to redeem himself, or maybe there's something else I am unaware of or not comprehending right now, but that's what I think is going on, because nobody goes out of the way usually that much to try to help someone out. I mean, he's very understanding as well. I mean, he's very understanding. He's not wanting to throw, Violet under the bus and all that, and make it to where she's no longer working there, even though she is ruining their reputation. He's not trying to throw her out, which normal business people would do, if you're definitely hurting and all that. So he's definitely doing something. He's like punishing himself in some ways. I feel like that's what it is. And I wonder what led him to act like he is right now in this series. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, that's about it when it comes to this episode of Violet Evergarden. It's a wonderful series. Honestly, like I said, it's my favorite. It's my favorite from Winter of Anime 2018 so far. That could easily change, obviously, but, still, for now, it is definitely my favorite. I've enjoyed it so far. Can't wait to see more. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Did you enjoy the second episode? Did you hate the second episode? Please be honest. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. And if you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. Now, to go a little bit further and elaborate on that, apparently many have been having some problems. Even though many of you have clicked the bell icon, some of you have been telling me, even though you've clicked it, not getting notified. Or sometimes you get notified a full day later. I don't know if it's true or not, because I actually haven't checked in a while, but there might be other options with the bell icon. Maybe you have to click something else with the bell. I don't know. I would have to go in and check myself. But apparently, though, if for some reason you're still not getting notified and you've clicked the bell icon, unclick it and click it again, at the very least. Maybe that might fix your problems. If any of you have been experiencing that problem, could you clarify in the comments for me? I would truly appreciate that. Please let me know if you have been having those problems, and then tell me after you've clicked it, re-clicked it again, if you continue to have those problems. Like I said, I do appreciate it. If you let me know, I will be paying attention. I always do look at comments, so at least let me know on that end. So yeah, you guys have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.